The Uncommon Expose, where I'm changing your life by sharing someone else's. Will you help me change someone's life by hitting subscribe? Trigger warning, this episode discusses addiction, alcoholism, abuse and parental abuse, suicide, suicide attempts, mental illness, burnout, and rehab. If you find any of these things triggering, please remember there is support out there. All right, welcome. I am so excited. So we've known each other, we're just working it out, nearly 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And your story, look, I'm actually getting goosebumps for this because when we knew each other 20 years ago, the story that you're sharing today, I was so desperate because I didn't know what was happening. And I was enamored by you, like absolutely. You were this amazing person in high school and you were so chic and like, I thought you were absolutely incredible. So I was too scared to ask what your situation was because I didn't want you to be offended or get upset with me. So I just was like, oh. So I didn't. So this is like full circle for me, 20 years of questions.
20 years of waiting.
Waiting, that's right. So I will get you to introduce yourself and what your story is going to be about, and we will just crack on.
Amazing. Yeah, my name is Jemma. I'm 37, from Adelaide, obviously. That's how we met 20 years ago. And I'm going to be telling the story today about a portion of my life. It's not my whole story because I've got story to come, but of my 20-year period with my mum, who was an alcoholic and was deeply engrossed in some very bad mental health situations. And how that addiction really affected me in my teenage years when I was at school and then in my early adult years, and where I'm at now as a 37-year-old and all the work I've had to do to recover from that. In a nutshell.
I love that you have already opened with that you had to do work and now you're in a good place because like so many of these stories are like that, but that you've just led with that. Like that is such an important part of your story and I love that. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Where did this start for you?
Okay, we'll start from the beginning. So I had a very normal, beautiful childhood. So I'd love to start with that part. I grew up in Stirling in the Adelaide Hills.
Very beautiful.
Very picturesque. It's probably the same now, but a little bit different. It was kind of a different time. Like I'm not that old, but it definitely was a time where I would walk home from school. My friends and I would just be in the park after school. We would pick mushrooms and flowers and things. And you did all that without adults. It was such an idealistic time to be a child. So I had quite a normal, happy, fun childhood. And so I lived with my parents and grew up in this beautiful house and had lots of friends and cousins that also grew up in the hills as well. And something about me now, if you know, I love picking berries. I like to call myself a forager. I love picking fruit.
Cottagecore.
That all came from growing up in the hills with all the, beautiful, like it's such a great environment for kids, like playing in the parks and by a lake near my house and picking blackberries in the summer. And so I had a really beautiful childhood. Mum and Dad were together. So my parents split up when I was 6. A fairly, I want to say a normal separation, like as in I don't look to what I could understand as a child. Like as in it wasn't a big fighting household, which I'm grateful for. Certainly as a child, I didn't notice too much in the way of conflict, which I think was I'm not a parent at the moment, but I think if you're a parent, obviously that's what you're trying to do at the end of the day. You're trying to make sure your child doesn't actually see that side of things. So I think my parents did a great job of that. And so they separated when I was 6 and, long story short, eventually moved down to the city. And that's when I started going to St. Mary's for high school. And, throughout that period, I guess, of my parents separating, it was quite typical, I guess, ups and downs. Difficult time as a child or between 6 and 13 was challenging, I guess, for me as I sort of moved around from my parents' house, like back and forth a little bit. But it's funny because I don't look at my parents' separation as the most challenging or painful thing It's certainly not the story I'm telling today.
Yeah.
Which for I know a lot of people it might be the most painful thing from their childhood, but really there was a lot of positives that came from that, and obviously my parents were not meant to be together, so it's always good when parents can find their happiness on their own. And so at that time, my relationship with my dad and my mum was really strong, and I had a close relationship with both of them.
Was it a 50-50 split?
Yeah, it was. And for a while we did that thing where you do like 1 week at one parent's house and one at the next, which I didn't mind. I mean, I was like 8 years old and I had 2 bedrooms and double the toys, so I was kind of happy with that. But during that time as well, your parents are dating new people and starting their kind of new relationships. And so that's what really happened with Mum. She entered into a new relationship. And so then I had things like, step brother and sister, stepdad, and kind of navigating that world. So, all of that period up until then, quite picturesque. I was a really normal child. I was probably a lot like I was in high school. I was really into drama.
Yeah.
Doing little performances, having a, film camera and like recording myself doing the news, and very creative, painting, fashion.
Yeah, I remember drawing and painting.
Yeah. Art was always something I did as a child. So I was I think this is important for the story though, that I was always a very creative, empathetic child. I always was very aware of other people and maybe how they were feeling. I was always aware of, maybe to an extent, how I should be acting or not acting, or I now know that to be people-pleasing.
Yeah, okay.
But as a child, you don't.
And you're an only child.
Yes, at this stage I was.
And that's a big thing for an only child, because often only children are described as selfish, really like socially inept, because they don't have siblings to barter with. So the fact that you had this skill set being an only child, that's a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I've heard those things. I actually feel the opposite now as an adult. I think being an only child forced me to develop social skills quite early, because you're always the kid that's getting dropped off to like vacation care and all these holiday activities, but you're completely on your own.
Yeah.
So I learned to make friends really quickly, and I learned to be social really quickly. And I think anyone who knows me, or even in high school, that was a trait of mine. I was really good at bringing people together and really good at having a good time with a group of people and good at making friends.
Yeah.
So I think that carried, through my life, and I feel good about being an only child. I think it's a massive part that's made me who I am and confident in some areas, particularly socially.
Yeah.
So normal childhood up until then. When my mum started dating and, inviting sort of a new person into our life, look, there wasn't any immediate issues with alcohol. So I can't say, that's when it started.
Yeah, okay.
But what started to happen when I was in high school is, there were little signs, I guess, really small things that started to happen and build up really from when I was 13. So my mum had my sisters. So she had the twins, we called them. They are twins. Kate and Poppy, my sisters. And, life got a little busier for Mum. It really got busy overnight, and there's a 13-year difference between me and my sisters.
Yeah.
So just when, and just to paint the picture, because I think every woman can understand this, like just when you're turning 13 or 14, and it's really your teenage years, there's so much going on as a young woman then. You've got things like your first period, obviously. You've got boys. You've got your horrible fashion sense. You're really trying to find your way in the world. Mum was quite busy, and I want to say distracted, I guess, obviously, with these newborns.
Yeah.
So on top of that, you know, you had a relationship that she was in that, in hindsight, and now as an adult, I can say, was not a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
When I was there and I was in it, you know, I'm only 12, 13. I don't know what a toxic relationship looks like. I don't really know what a bad relationship looks like.
Yeah.
I'm 13. But slowly, all that is to say is that it was really a slow build-up.
Yeah.
Up until when I was early teens, like I said, my life had been really beautiful, had a lovely upbringing in the hills, loved both my parents. There really weren't any sort of cracks per se.
Yeah.
So when I talk about this story with mum's alcoholism, I think some people think that, oh, she was always an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't. For 13 years of my life, and especially for the first, 5 to 10 of my life, my mum was an amazing mother.
Yeah.
She's super fun, very youthful. She's like a dance in the street kind of mum, embarrass you, put the best birthdays on for you, bought you the princess dress you wanted.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny when I talk now, people often presume that she must have been battling with this my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it actually only started when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a couple of things. It was obviously the pressure of being a new mum and having two.
Yeah.
Shout out mums. And I think it's also having a relationship that, is not working or is not how you picture it.
Yeah.
And mum as a person probably doesn't love to feel her feelings.
Yeah.
And to sort of deal with things that are coming up. She's definitely more on the avoidance side.
Yeah.
So I think all of that became a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And so between 13 and 20, well, let's say 13 and 18, let's just say high school.
Yeah.
This was really when the signs of alcoholism started to become clear.
Mm.
And so it's funny that you were saying you knew something was going on in the background while I was at high school, but you didn't really know what.
Yeah.
And it really was the whole period of high school. That was a very intense period for me. But being a young person, I don't know what alcoholism is. Mm-hmm. I don't know what addiction is.
Yeah.
You don't actually know that that's what's happening. And so the first thing I'd say about my story is that it probably took at least 10 years for me and other people in our family to really identify, oh my God, this is addiction. Mm. This is, she's an alcoholic. That's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Because the signs and symptoms, I guess, are not so clear on that.
So when we think about addiction, and I don't know if you disagree, or from what I know about addiction is it's not always like the choice. That person's not choosing to drink. They're not choosing to do meth. They're not choosing. Sometimes it's whatever their vice is has the hold on them, which is why it is a disease. It's not just a choice thing. Did you think that? Did you find that?
100%. And I think with a close family member or a friend, your first instinct is to go to the place of why can't they decide to be different? And why can't they just make the decision or have the willpower to change their life and stop drinking or stop using?
Go cold turkey. Just stop. Yeah.
In the same way that, like, if we wanted to start a new exercise regime, we could just decide to do that tomorrow and get started.
Yeah.
And this is where the resentment and confusion comes up with alcoholics, because I realized way later, in my 30s, that it wasn't about choice and it wasn't about her willpower. And it had nothing to do with how strong she was as a person, because alcoholism is way, way, way stronger than our own willpower. So once you start seeing it like it's an actual demon, it's an actual monster, and it's a very strong disease in that it just takes over and took over mum's ability to even, she can't manage it anymore. So once you can sort of get to that place where you know that it's not about choice, I think for a lot of addicts, they're certainly not choosing to blow up their life. They're not choosing this, but it becomes so strong and it has such a hold over them, and it had such a strong hold over Mum's life that it's almost like she was inside, she's in there, probably screaming, but she can't get a grips of it. And that's, how we know that, addiction's taken over. So I do think that either way you look at it, addicts are going to need outside support for them to even attempt to get better, because if it was just about willpower and choice, wouldn't that have already happened? Wouldn't they have been able to beat it and overcome it? So I have a lot of compassion now because I know that it's not about willpower. But when I was in my teenage years, no, it hadn't progressed. The disease or the illness hadn't progressed to that extent yet.
Yeah.
And perhaps it was in like a manageable stage for her, but it showed up initially by just noticing your mum's relationship with drinking. You don't drink that much when you're 13, 14, 15. Well, some people do, but you don't notice alcohol per se, but you start noticing that she might always have a drink.
Yeah.
So, Mum would always have a wine. And then you start noticing other things, like she gets into a lot of arguments and fights. So there's a lot of volatility.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I just thought my mum was very moody, like very up and down.
Yeah.
And one day she'd be fine, the next day she'd be wildly out of control, including, having arguments and things and saying things that didn't sound like her to me.
Yeah.
And so it progressed through those high school years to really having a mum who would say a lot of inappropriate things to me. I realise now that's because she was drunk at the time.
Can you give me some examples? Do you remember?
It could be small things. I think mostly it would be just like scolding me or telling me off for things in a way that a parent doesn't do.
Okay.
Like, you're just, you're being so stupid. Don't be so dumb.
Yeah, okay.
So then it started turning into the tone that she would talk to me in wasn't a normal parent-child tone. And again, I didn't know this was alcohol. This is just coming out of my mum. For me, I'm a young girl, it's really hurtful.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Again, I think it's just because she's moody. She's in a bad mood and I've done something wrong.
Yeah. That was going to be my take. You would have taken it personally, I assume.
100%.
I've done this. This is my fault. Mum's angry.
100%. Yeah. And again, going back to that's the work we do now as adults to sort of unlearn that. But, there were times when, even body issue wise, she would tell me that I'm fat or that I might not get a boyfriend if I wasn't thinner.
Yeah.
There were little off the cuff comments like that stick with you because they come from your mum. You can
from anyone, it's very toxic, I think.
Yeah, from anyone. But this is a parent and so strange behaviour like that. And it was hard for me to shake that off because I saw it as truth because it's coming from a parental figure.
Yeah.
So lots of kind of instability with relationships. I'd say that's the first flag that came up.
Yeah.
So a lot of fights, a lot of arguments with people, a lot of interactions that were really weird, really unnecessary or really cruel. And that's how I first experienced alcoholism.
Yeah.
And at this stage, again, I don't know it's addiction. I don't know anything like that is happening. So where we got to was I spent a lot of time when we were in high school really trying to control what I could control.
Yeah.
I grew up quick.
Yeah.
Because in my teenage years, I had one very stable parent who was my dad.
Yeah.
And he's everything that you would want a dad to be.
Yeah.
And I remember so many times, and again, only so few friends of mine will know this.
Yeah.
I think it's probably 3 people who would know this. I would be crying in my room because Mum has been so volatile. She's said something really upsetting that goes beyond the normal frustrations, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'll be texting my dad, come pick me up. Can you come get me?
Yeah.
Like, I need you to come get me now. And I was sobbing. And this would happen. And by the way, he would come straight away.
Oh.
He would come straight away. My dad would drop anything he's doing. He'd be like, no worries, see you in 5.
Yeah.
I don't know, thinking back now, I don't know what my dad was doing. He could have been like, just being an adult now, he could have been at work. He could have been, I don't even know, he could have been in Mawson Lakes. Yeah. Don't know.
That's quite far from where you lived. For those
quite
people
far.
that don't know, don't know Adelaide very well.
Sorry, that's quite far. But I just really felt that he would drop anything to come and get me, and he would come and pick me up. And it's funny what you remember now, but sometimes I remember him picking me up and, you know, I would pack my own little bag. Mm-hmm. You know, again, I'm probably 15, 14.
Yeah.
Pack my little bag of clothes and things. Sometimes I'd be going out to the car, like Dad would never come in because Dad knew at that point that's a combative environment. Let's not add fuel to the fire. Yeah. So he would always just stay in the car. And I would get my backpack or whatever I'm taking, and I would literally, sometimes I'd run out to the car.
Yeah.
And my mum would, sometimes she'd do nothing. Other times she'd be behind me, yelling, saying things, trying to have a fight with Dad. You know, being aggressive at times. And I remember I would just get in the car and we would just leave. Like, my dad would never really engage.
Good on him.
He's very good. He's very good like that. He knows when to engage and when to not. And he was a very calming presence for me. Like, I would get in the car and everything would be much, much better, very stable.
Yeah.
But we would just drive off. So there were multiple times in high school when that would happen. And I think that that's really what you picked up on and maybe other people picked up on, that my home life was a little bit unstable.
Yeah. What I remember was it was always your dad. And you never spoke about your mum. And any time that I would come to hang out with you, have a sleepover, whatever it was, I know, Kelly sleepover, it was always with your dad. And my mum was a single mum, and I have never had a dad. And it was really interesting to me that you had such a good relationship with your dad, and he had so much, I want to say, trust in you with the things that he would, I remember he would go away for work quite a lot. Or he would be away, and he just had a lot of trust in you and your responsibility. And I actually think I only met your dad once, and it was very brief. But I understand he had this whole, like, just vibe about him, big, just gentle, giant kind of persona, almost quiet, very gentle, but
very easygoing.
Yeah.
And he recognised, I think, that I was having such a turbulent time at home with Mum and that family, that I think he tried so hard, or I recognise now as an adult that he tried so hard to provide a very calm, easygoing home life for me.
Yeah.
And that's why he was very generous. He let me have so many parties.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but yeah. I didn't want to like throw you under the bus.
No, he let me have friends over whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
Sleep. I wasn't spoiled, but like if I asked to have 30 girls over for a sleepover, he would be like, okay. And he would buy the pizza.
Yeah.
I think he did everything he could to, just give me a really normal, stable teenagehood. And I really clung to my friends.
Yeah.
I think you do when your home life's unstable. And I had those social skills from being an only child, that I had a great group of friends, and I still see them, still speak to them, and some of them are my complete besties for 20 years. And so I clung to my social life. So I think it would have been really easy for people to look at me, especially approaching 18, and think, wow, she's confident. She's got all these friends. Like, life is good for her, you know, she's doing great.
Yeah.
But I think to an extent, again, drama kid, I was really good as well at putting on whatever I needed to put on for that story to sell. And look, I work in sales now, so
still good.
I've ended up in what I've meant to do. I'm good at selling a story. But, you know, behind the scenes, things were chaotic. And so Mum's alcoholism progressed. And then, you know, once I turned 18, let's say 18 to 20, things really dialed up a notch. And so, like anyone who knows, alcoholism only goes one place. It doesn't go anywhere else other than complete and total destruction. But the length of time it takes people to get there can be different. But Mum was always going to be, from the moment that alcohol became a problem, it was always going to end in an awful place. Like you knew it was never going to end in a happy place, was it? And the nature of alcoholism, or at least for Mum, is it just got worse and worse and worse. It never got lighter or went backwards. It really just went to the next level. And so once I got to my 20s, or, you know, that 18, let's say early 20s period, that's when things started to kind of really kick it up a notch. So you imagine I'm a young woman now. I'm trying to go out into the world and sort of live my life, work out what I want to do, be really inspired by that. And by this stage, Mum's addiction had really gone to a place where, I guess the only nicest way to say that is, I think her ability to prioritize me or sort of be there in any capacity was very low as addiction started to take over more of her life. And at that stage, Mum and my sisters and family, they actually moved to Bali.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's where my connection with Bali first started. I'd been going there since I was a kid, but they actually moved, the whole family moved to Bali.
So your mum, your sisters...
And my stepdad.
Aunties or uncles or anything like that? Just the four of them?
Yeah, just the four of them. And they did that for a multitude of reasons. I think at that stage, that was a very painful time for me because I remember feeling so resentful that I wasn't asked to go with them. I had just turned 18. I had just really survived this period as a teenager with a really unstable home. And now that person who I'm still seeking that love and support from.
Approval, do you think?
I think guidance more than approval.
Okay,
Just really wanting that mother figure, that female figure in my life to guide me as a young woman. I mean, it's really when you're starting dating and understanding the world. I would have loved to have had my mum to speak to about so many things at that time. And I just didn't. I didn't have it. I had my dad, but we know dad's opinions and views on things. He's a man. He can only go so far, I think, with telling you how to be a woman in the world. So I was so resentful at them for going because I wanted to go, but also obviously it took the pressure off a little and I felt a little bit of freedom. So now I was kind of free of some of the heaviness of Mum's alcoholism, and I sort of naively thought, oh, that will be it. You know, now it's over now. They'll go to Bali. It's paradise. Whatever that was for Mum, that period of time when I was a teenager, that will all go away now. She'll feel better now. Again, still thinking that this isn't addiction. Still thinking that maybe this is something else. Maybe it's just she drinks because she has had some personal trauma, or she drinks because life is actually really hard, or maybe her partner, the relationship. So during that stage, both myself and Mum was in complete denial. So we hadn't even used the word alcoholic yet. It hadn't been brought up. And certainly Mum was not in any place to use that word, but she would use every other excuse under the sun. So this is where I think with alcoholics, they're also really, really good at giving you a reason or talking to you about why they drink and making it not about alcohol.
Okay.
Have you heard this before? It's like they'll have excuses like, for what they drink. Like, oh, I only drink white wine because it doesn't give me a rash. Or I drink brandy with soda because the soda makes me feel better. Or I drink because I had a hard day. I drink because I don't like my husband, or I've had a fight with someone. So this period was also where I'd call it like the excuses period. There was lots and lots of conflicting reasons why Mum drank to avoid really identifying alcohol as the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they went to Bali, and then I kind of got on with starting my life in my 20s and starting my studies and career, and I really thought that would kind of be the end of it. And what ended up happening throughout my 20s was probably from 20 to 28 was complete breaking point for me. I know that's an 8-year period. You're thinking that's a long time. But again, alcoholism is a very slow build.
Insidious, isn't it?
It's very insidious because when it starts, it's got to be one of the diseases now that we know what other diseases are when they start. They have a label. We know how to handle them. Alcoholism, I know that now to be an illness and a disease, and that's how I talk about it now. But it starts in a very weird way. It's not clear, and it slowly starts to kind of come into every aspect of your life. It's kind of like a black smoke, you know, it starts to seep into every person in the family, every part of your life. So I thought I'd gotten away.
Yeah.
And what started to happen when Mum was in Bali was, you know, her drinking continued, but just took a different shape. Maybe it's what she's drinking that changes. And this is where we entered the period of Mum drinking so much that she really needed medical attention. And up until this point, that hadn't happened. But when she was in Bali, she got so bad over a period of time that she ended up needing essentially a detox or a hospitalization. Now, that was the first hospitalization that she had had. And look, there were good and beautiful moments in Bali. Like, I'm definitely condensing.
So you did go and visit her and then come back. How long, if you went over, how long would you stay for?
I'd stay for a week or two.
Yeah.
And during that time, again, I'm starting to mature now. I'm starting to kind of join the dots a little and really start to think about when I see her drinking. And I'm starting to join those dots between, wait, when she drinks, bad things happen.
Yeah, okay.
So when I would go and visit her, for example, like we would go out in Bali, maybe to a beach club or something, and go and do some fun things. But those fun things would quickly turn into arguments and fights, and this really aggressive version of Mum would come out.
Yeah.
And I started to see and understand that that was in relation to what she had just been drinking. I still didn't understand why she was like that, but, you know, she would get into huge arguments with me, really like going for the jugular, like picking on me for things, you know, using, I guess, the weak spots about me that she knew, like as my mother, to really start an argument with me. And again, that is so hard to wrap your head around when that's your parent. I didn't know whether to take it personally, like, oh, I'm actually a bad person. I am all these things she's telling me. Or is there something wrong with her?
Yeah.
Which one is it? So when I would visit, the same thing, relational instability, fights, arguments, drinking too much, being aggressive, being abusive. This is where the sort of abusive language really started to really ramp it up. So when I was, you know, I'm now an adult, I can text and I can probably speak a lot better than when I was 13.
Yeah.
So this is when her communication with me would become more and more aggressive.
Yeah.
So over the period in my 20s, the amount of aggressive, abusive text messages that I received from Mum, really think about like your worst enemy or someone who really wanted to bring you down a peg. Think of the worst things someone could say about you. Your friends would never say this to you. This is the thing. Of course they wouldn't. They love you. That's the kind of things my mum was texting me at all hours of the night, during the day, commenting on, I don't know, how I carry myself, the kind of person I am, what a perfect life I've had, how I should be, how I'm ungrateful. A lot of abuse came through text message. And I realize and know now, obviously, this was when she was drunk. But when she was drunk, she was wildly abusive and aggressive.
Would she drink all day, or were there like weekends that were more dramatic? Or I assume Bali life is very relaxed. So was it every day, all day, every day, or were there peak times?
It starts, I think every alcoholic is different. So it starts very slowly. So it starts socially. Like think about drinking how we drink now, I drink socially. So I'll have a few glasses of wine, with a friend or at a social event. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
But then, you start noticing the person having those social drinks at a non-social time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not so crazy because a lot of us drink alone sometimes. We don't always need to be with people.
Yeah.
But then for me, you start noticing the times of day. And this is the big one. This is when you know, okay, this is a little odd.
Yeah.
So instead of being like those lunch times with friends or things or with another person or even on your own or night times, well, now you notice, okay, mum's got a drink and it's 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that drink at 9:30, because you sort of rationalize and you think, well, okay, that's a bit weird, but maybe she'll stop and have lunch and it was just one drink.
Yeah.
But it will be another one. So it started slowly, and that's why you can't really put your finger on it because you can't see the unhealthy patterns yourself. Like you can't see when they're drinking. And I think mum hid a lot too. Like, of course, it wasn't always out in the open. I'm sure that there were, and I know there were, so many times when she was probably drinking when others couldn't see.
Yeah.
But eventually, and by the time they got to Bali, I'm fairly certain it became sort of morning drinking and then all day.
Yeah, okay.
How many drinks that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it became something that for her became the way she started her day.
Yeah.
And this is, again, now I'm in my 20s, I'm starting to join the dots.
Yeah.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Why does my mum have to have a drink in the morning? And, that word addiction and alcoholic, it's starting to take shape and form now. But when you've got someone who doesn't want to use those words, they don't want to have that label, and they certainly don't want to have the conversation about it, and they're a little bit abusive, and they're aggressive, and they're already drinking. As the family member or friend or whomever, you just need to be really careful, and you choose your words and you pick your battles, and sometimes you just can't do it. You don't want to have that conversation. You know it's going to end in a huge fight. And so as I kind of got stronger and more of an adult, I started to call things out through my 20s.
Yeah.
Hey, I think maybe you shouldn't have that drink.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I think maybe why don't we not drink today? We could go and do something else. And I'm sure anyone who knows an alcoholic knows that they don't like hearing these things. They really don't like it.
Yeah.
And you start to poke the bear. And for someone who's already sort of aggressive and abusive with you, you start being really scared of that. I just can't even do it today. I can't cop like another lashing, another abusive bout of text messages, for example.
Yeah.
And when someone's drunk, they have like endless energy. They can text you all night. It's not like you and I that maybe you have a little disagreement with someone and then you sort of get over it and you go and do what you got to do. No, she could keep going.
Fixation?
Yeah, for hours.
Yeah,
because
wow.
you're fueled by alcohol, so you don't know what time it is. And so some of those text messages would be like over and over and over again, and I'd have to put my phone on or turn it off or put it on silent or block her.
I was going to ask that.
I did, yeah. So, it's all taking shape. Now the picture is starting to come together for me. Now I'm really starting to see this for what it is. Now a little bit of Google's happening.
Yeah.
I'm sort of doing my research because at this point in my life, I don't know anyone else with this problem with their parents, right? I don't have any friends that say to me, oh, my dad does that as well, or my brother does that, my mum. So this feels very insular. It feels very alone and very solo. And so did I share a lot with my friends? Probably not. Little bits here and there, but I knew that if I didn't understand it, they're not going to understand it. And they're not going to be able to give me any, really helpful advice, I think, for this situation, because it's gotten way too big and too complex. So really now we start entering the stage of life again, late 20s, mid-20s, where things start ramping up and mum's ability to really keep a lid on it is completely shattered.
Yeah.
So she's now having health issues. And so I mentioned, she had her first hospitalization.
Yeah.
And when she was in hospital, she was at a specific clinic that was for, it wasn't for addiction, but they did help and assist with a lot of addicts.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they had a conversation with her where they identified that she was an alcoholic. And so they put her on a detox period and, advised some, a course of action to deal with her alcoholism. And I remember everyone that had a chat with mum, she just truly and vehemently just denied and didn't believe that that's why she was there.
Yeah.
So
wow.
in her eyes, she was there for a multitude of other health issues. And I'm not going to tell her story,
No, that's fine.
her own trauma, but she was there for other reasons. And so I remember in those early days in my 20s, I guess, when she was in and out of clinics and in and out of hospitalizations, even still, it took many more years for her to accept and understand that alcohol was the problem. And as we moved, to me being 25 or just over 25, we're now at the stage where everyone knows what this is. Yeah. My family, her close family, we've all cottoned on now.
Yeah.
And it sounds dumb. Like you're listening now thinking, well, didn't you know what this was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
You don't, because it starts, so slow and builds up. And also the person is someone that you love.
Yeah.
So you believe them.
Yeah.
And you listen to them and you take them at their word.
Yeah.
And so when you ask them if they're okay and do they think they have a problem with this or do they need help with this, you take on board their response. You just take it as face value.
Yeah.
So mum was really good at telling people that the reason she drank was because of a lot of other issues and that those other issues needed to be dealt with first and then she would stop drinking.
Yeah.
Because her life would be better.
Yeah.
Something like that to that extent. So, but by this stage, we all know that it's alcoholism. And this is really where the hard work starts because you have someone who doesn't think that's what it is and you've got 10 other people who do think that's what it is. And you're waiting for the person, for the penny to drop, for them to actually accept that this is what the problem is. Because if they can do that, if mum had been able to do that earlier, it just means, recovery and help is on its way. But it had to go in the way that it went. And so mum's had probably 5 to 10 detoxes and hospitalizations in my 20s.
All in Bali?
No.
Okay.
So her health condition deteriorated and essentially, and some other things meant that they moved back to Australia and they moved to Perth.
Yep.
And the relationship that she had with her partner as well was disintegrating at this point for lots of very valid reasons on her behalf. But alcoholism didn't help the situation. So I was in Adelaide, mum was in Perth, and again, the volatility, the fights, the arguments all started to get bigger and bigger. And so there were many times here where I would get a call from the police. Mum's been arrested. Can I provide some details? Or mum has been, I guess, hanging out with some really unsavory people. So I guess drinking buddies, you could kind of classify that as. And her marriage basically ended during that period.
When you're getting these calls, are you like, yeah, I wish I'd filmed that right then. Were you like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know how far it is from Adelaide to Perth, but it's a long time. Like, yeah, what do you want from me? And were you also like, this is my mum, like you're an adult at this point, but she's the adult. Like, I shouldn't have to be dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm 24, 25, young adult, but I'm put in a major position of responsibility that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And one of the huge resentful aspects that I have, I guess, towards my mum that, you know, I do the work on now is that some of that carefree nature of just being in your early 20s and not having to be responsible for your alcoholic mum was completely stripped from me.
Yeah.
So I was having to take responsibility for a parent, take those phone calls, be the mature adult in situations that I never asked for and that were completely out of my depth.
Yeah.
No one could help me with them, you know, partners, friends, like who's going to jump in and do that? So also because I was the oldest child in the family, so my sisters are younger, I felt a huge compulsion towards protecting them and to not making it their problem. So I took on things that were well and beyond what someone in their 20s should do.
Yeah.
So I would take the phone calls. I would call lawyers if she needed it. I would book her hotels when she was homeless.
And you would pay for them?
I would pay for them.
Yeah.
I would buy her groceries and have them sent there to whatever home she was in. I would do anything and everything that I could from Adelaide. I would buy her flights to get out of there if she wasn't in a safe position. I would buy my sisters things for school, pay for books, pay for food.
Yeah.
Anything that they needed to an extent, obviously. Their parents still, you know, took care of them, but I was wildly mature and responsible. I was the parent in my 20s.
Yeah.
And so when I hit 27, it all honestly fell apart and started to crack. Because how long can a person go like that where they're hypervigilant, being the parent, they're in these really gnarly situations with police, with lawyers, with ambulances, trying to understand addiction, trying to help my sisters have a mother or have a stable life, worrying about all these things from afar while I'm also trying to be bright and happy Jemma here in Adelaide.
Yeah, and working a job, having friendships, having relationships, having pets, houses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I had a very challenging job. Like my career, I was very lucky, kind of took off when I was quite young. And so I had a hugely large area that I had to look after in sales for my first job, or my first proper adult job. And so it wasn't easy. I was juggling enormous pressure at work and doing it really well. And I was juggling behind the scenes enormous personal pressure.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it was all going to crack, you know, it wasn't sustainable. And so when I was 27, and I think the catalyst for that had been my mum and her partner had split up. And mum's addiction was really now that there was no one living at the home with her, it had free roam she had free roam to take that wherever she wanted. And it was really like unbridled, I guess. There was no family there to really step in or support her, I guess. And so she ended up in some not so nice relationships after that.
Had your sisters gone to live with their dad?
not so clean cut, but they were sort of old enough at that stage where they were sort of going between places.
Yeah.
And their dad was still very present in their life. So this isn't really a story about him, but he still continued to be, you know, the father that he was in that place. But mum really couldn't. She was now at the stage where she can't parent at all.
Yeah.
You know, being a mum not only to me was out the window at this stage. Obviously, I'm in my 20s, I'm doing okay, but my sisters were still quite young.
Yeah.
And, you know, I saw a repeat happen.
Yeah.
I went through my teenage years without that mother figure in the way that I desired. And then I saw it happen again with my sisters. And I desperately tried to stop that from happening or help and assist mum in any way that I could so that it wasn't history repeating. Whether or not I was successful in that, I don't even know. But I honestly tried like hammer and nail. Like I left it all on the floor with this period of my life. Like the number one thing was I never wanted to have any regrets about how I handled mum's addiction. I never wanted to personally think, and I know other people are different, but I never wanted to have any regrets like with how I stepped up, I guess, and how I behaved in the family and supported her as much as I can, because the reality is that she could have, and we saw it multiple times during this period, that it was going to kill her.
Yeah, okay.
That addiction and alcoholism was going to kill her.
Yeah.
And so during this time, it's all becoming very real for me.
Yeah.
So visceral, so real, because I'm realizing that, hey, this is a life or death disease. Like I'd heard, obviously, about the other big diseases, right? Heart disease, cancer, we know about them. I'd never considered alcoholism as being something that this might kill her. And so I remember in my 20s, I've got the pressure from my job, I've got the pressure from family life and pressure to sort of be this person that kind of takes care of everyone. And I'm trying to be my dad at the end of the day. I'm trying to be like him and give everyone a stable, just give them what I can.
And while you're providing all of this support for your mum, are you like conscious of not enabling the behaviour? Or were you just...
No, that came later, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And again, you're thinking, how did that take so long? I didn't even understand at this point enabling behaviour.
Yeah. I don't ask that judgmentally.
Not at all. I think it's such a good point because there is enabling behaviour with alcoholics and I was 100% enabling her.
Okay.
And I want to talk to that because it's going to get to a place where I stop doing that.
Yeah.
But in this period, I'm frantically grasping at what I can.
Yeah.
The black and white reality for me, and I kept thinking it, was that if I don't help her, she's going to die. And so now it's becoming really real. It's becoming really real because I'm worried about her driving. Yeah. I'm worried about her with relationships, being unsafe. I'm worried about her, you know, being able to pay bills because at this time, you know, financially she's not in a good place because when you're drinking, you can't manage your finances. You can't organise your life. So slowly and slowly, all parts of her life are starting to erode. And I'm trying to, it's like a swimming pool, plastic pool for kids that have holes in it. And I'm trying to patch up all the holes. And what's happening is I'm just wearing myself to the ground.
Yeah.
And so when I was 27 to 30, that's really when all of this caught up with me.
Yeah.
And for a while I thought I was a rock star. I can handle so much in my life and I'm good. Like I'm just a person that can do it all. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't feel great about it. It wasn't something I wanted for my life, but I thought, you know, I'm good at handling pressure. Okay, fine. When I was 27, that's when burnout hit. And it's unglamorous. Basically, what kicked it off, I fainted on a plane. I was on a work trip. Got wheeled around the airport in a wheelchair with some lovely ambos. And look, I have a laugh about it now, and I think my friends had a laugh about it at the time. But while I was getting on that plane, my mum was at home with a knife, I guess, redecorating her mattress, highly volatile. The ambulance was on the way, suicidal.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I would get on these work trips, and what was going on at home, you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
I would have the phone going off the hook. I didn't know when I landed on the other side of this work trip whether Mum was going to be dead or injured or what had happened.
Mm.
And all that pressure just blew up. So that was the first time in my life I started experiencing anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And it became very strong, panic attacks, everything like that. I developed a fear of flying. I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. And it ended up with me having to quit my job. I later went back to that job though, so there's a happy ending there. But I couldn't work, so I quit my job. And at the time I was looking after my sister. So she was living with myself and my partner. And, you know, my relationship, and now all my relationships are starting to feel the effect of that. So, so really for me, that's when it became a health issue for me. And so I spent basically the last, you know, I'm 37 now. I probably literally spent the last decade drastically changing my life, I guess, to refocus on myself, get back to a good place of health.
Yeah.
Bring in those boundaries a little bit more, try and understand addiction, try and understand and approach it in a different way. So that's when, you're doing all the research on enabling.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to my 30s, I'm in a different place. Like I'm healthier now.
Yeah.
I'm taking care of me. This is where things like your yoga and your diet and all the vitamins come in. And that was an incredible transformation for me. And it's also when, you know, all those people-pleasing parts of me and you're really looking at yourself. It sounds like it sucks, honestly, to have to look at yourself, but you're looking at all the ways that maybe you've contributed to this in some way, not to her addiction, but to where you've ended up.
Yeah.
And it's not about judging yourself or blaming yourself, but some very hard lessons came at that period for me. One was that she was not going to change based on anything that I did or provided or paid for or helped with. Actually, she was not going to change at all for me, period.
Yeah, wow.
And as a child, and that being your mum, you would 100% think that your mum would change a habit for you if it was hurting you.
Yeah.
Like your mum wouldn't want to hurt you, right?
Yeah.
That's a basic assumption. I thought that too for a period, but then I quickly learned, no, mum is not happy, but mum's in a place now, right now, where she can't make that decision for you. And I was not a big enough motivator for her to change her life. And I really had to sit with that for a long time. I really had to accept that because that is so hard. Because everything we believe in society, everything we know to be true is that your mum will do anything to protect you. So I'm having these very physical, awful period of my life where everything's sort of catching up with me from dealing with her addiction. And in my mind, she won't help me. She's not there for me. She's not going to stop drinking for me. And it was a hard pill to swallow. Lesson number one. Lesson number two at that period was, how am I actually enabling this behavior?
Yeah.
So where have I actually been with kindness and love?
Yeah, best intentions.
And this is the thing with addiction, because you love the person, you approach it with love in mind. Like if you have a friend that's going through a hard time, you don't like slap them over the head and give them a hard dose of reality. You might bring like a little cake with you over and get them to share, and you approach it with empathy and love.
Yeah.
But addiction doesn't really work like that. You know, you approach it with love and you approach it with compassion for the person, and they just, if you give an inch, they take a mile. And so I had kept approaching mum with so much support and empathy for all the reasons why she was drinking, trying to understand, trying to be supportive. And I realized that I was looking at it through the lens, obviously, as a daughter, but I needed to look at it through the lens of someone watching an alcoholic.
Okay, yeah.
It's a hard shift to make because it's your parent.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. And I realized that, you know, that idea of rock bottom that people talk about, that I didn't know what her rock bottom was or her place was where she was going to kind of want to change her life. I didn't even know if that would happen.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a switch in a journey to thinking about allowing her to feel the consequences of what she was doing. And really allowing alcohol to destroy her life.
Yeah.
So instead of rushing in to stop it, like whether it's paying that mortgage payment or buying her food or getting her car serviced or whatever it is, what if I didn't do any of that? What if I really let alcohol just destroy it all and I let her actually sit in that instead of trying to hold it all up? And so that's kind of where we get to now with that transition happened in my 30s.
To get to that point, though, did you experience a lot of guilt?
Hell yeah.
In having, like, I'm not doing it anymore, but then that flow on what is going to happen now?
Huge, because as I'd said, in my 20s, it really became life and death.
Yeah.
So as I accepted this idea that I would have to let her deal with the consequences of her drinking, what if you break that down viscerally, what that means, and I've already mentioned that there's, you know, there's mental health issues, there's suicidal issues, there's you know, police involved. Is a very highly volatile situation. Like, to leave a person alone with this, it's almost always going to involve them hurting themselves in some way. So for me to do that, and this is why it's not as simple, you know, you can read a book, it is nowhere near as simple in practice.
And you can't, no, I'm done. Wait.
It's so hard because if I do that, if I really just leave her to do it, she could fall downstairs. She could crash her car and die.
Yeah.
These are the thoughts. Like, you really have to come to terms with the fact that if you step back, that person might kill themselves through multiple different methods. You know, drinking, obviously bad news in so many areas. So that sat with me for years, and I'm weirdly kind of proud of that because I don't think that's a mental change that a lot of people, or transition that a lot of people have to go through, where they have to literally get to a place where they're okay if the person dies.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable at all. And yeah, I grappled with it and still grapple with it. Again, it's that idea for me of I didn't want to have any regrets, but I got to a point where I had to be okay with what I had given to this situation, how I had been there, shown up, the support I'd offered, even if it wasn't taken. And I had to be okay with the fact that she was, you know, driving her own life, her own bus. And if that meant she was going to drive it off a cliff, that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's with family and friends of alcoholics, it's hugely about acceptance of what is actually happening, that the person has a problem. But secondary to that, it's acceptance that sometimes they don't want help and they don't want to get better.
Yeah.
And they don't want to stop drinking and they actually don't care what you think about that. And that's hard too. That's hard to accept because we really want to fight for people. You really want to keep going and think that it's going to be a happy ending. But I also really recognize that this might not be a happy ending at all. And so mentally I started to prepare myself in my 30s for what if my mum doesn't survive. So I started to prepare myself for, you know, what if she dies and how would I be after that? How would I handle that? And started to let go a little bit. The more I kind of took care of myself. And so, long story, where we ended up though is a much better place today.
Yeah.
So mum is now sober. She's been sober for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And
every day is a battle. Well, every day is an accomplishment because it's such a battle.
Totally. And Mum, I talk about going back to the beginning of this story about my childhood. The mum that I knew from when I was a child growing up was literally always in there.
Yeah.
She just really went away for a good 20-year period of my life.
Wow.
But I always knew she was in there. And I think part of what kept me so resilient, I think, to not believing that there was always going to be a good outcome, but what kept me trying to help her over and over and over again was because I knew what I was missing. I knew the person that was there. And I knew that when she was drinking and she was that sort of abusive, aggressive person, that really wasn't her.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a monster, like a demon. And so now she refers to that person and that person with the illness as the monster.
Yeah. Okay.
So we call it the monster. And it took another several detox attempts for Mum to be sober. And she became sober when I was 35.
Yeah, wow.
And so from when I was, let's say, 15 to 35, that is how long it took.
God.
And it was only at that stage that I could finally breathe.
Yeah.
And be in a place, I think, where I could even share this story. Because, and thank you to my therapist, I spent, over a year in therapy, dealing with the fallout, the long-term impact for me.
Yeah.
The physical health stuff of being hypervigilant and being in that situation with someone for so long.
Yeah.
The people pleasing, the denying yourself and what you need for someone else, the missed and lost expectations of a parent that were never met, the time that we've lost. I've lost so many occasions, Christmases, Easters, anniversaries with my partner, for example, holidays, concerts. So many things in my life were ruined by my mum's alcoholism. I made so many sacrifices in my 20s and my 30s. So you have to reconcile with all of that now. And now that I'm 37, it's joyful to know that she's sober. I'm happy that she's sober, but it wasn't as clean cut as, well, now everything's good.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that. It felt like I had just survived, like being chased by a lion for 20 years. And so initially I fell apart. And then, I got to work and I sought help. Having therapy while she's an alcoholic wasn't the right move for me because I'm still in it. I'm still dealing with it. But since she's gotten sober, it's been my time to share, my time to reclaim this part of the story for me.
Yeah.
My time to take away the lessons from this that I've learned that have made me who I am now. And I'm grateful for them because I think they've made me a much stronger person, but also a compassionate person, a non-judgmental person, and a resilient person. And I'm grateful for all those things that it's taught me. Like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I wouldn't honestly wish this on anyone, and I don't even wish it for myself. But here I am as an adult, and I now have to take the lessons, do the work, do the therapy, be as healthy as possible, and try to kind of start to move into our new phase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that new phase is foreign, it's Mum being sober now.
Yeah.
And it's weird because the Mum that I knew before all of this, it's like she's back, And now, we catch up quite regularly. There's always going to be stuff and gunk and trauma there. But we do our best to kind of move forward. She is just so lucky. I think the other thing I just want to point out is that she is so lucky to even be sober.
Yeah.
And so many other people will not. like the disease will kill them. And so I recognize that we're in a really, really lucky position where she was able to get sober and she was able to make it stick. You never truly know if that's forever, but I'm really proud of her and she is doing amazing. And yeah, look, it's not easy. There's a lot to sift through after this period.
Yeah.
But that's why it felt really nice and really right at this time to kind of share this story, because I almost feel like I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And now I can kind of start piecing it together and sort of sharing what I learn.
Yeah. I am so sure that there is going to be someone out there who is struggling to find their own words that you have been able to bring to the table for them today. And even if they can't share their experience, you have shared yours for them. And that was incredible. I always love to end the episodes with, if you could go back in time and offer little Jemma some advice, or someone who's going through a similar situation that you went through, do you have any advice or anything that you wish that you could tell them to help them?
I think it's hard with this topic. Firstly, I'd say to myself, don't judge yourself. And this actually isn't your fault, and it's not your responsibility to fix either. If I had known that, it might have saved me a lot of mental anguish and a lot of blaming myself or putting undue pressure on myself. So I would tell myself that this is so far above and beyond you that you are just a little girl. And that you're not going to be able to win this battle.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's going to have to win it, fight it, do it herself.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say is just do your research, get familiar. It's hard to find information on addiction that is easy to understand, easy to grasp, and our healthcare system can be very difficult to navigate with addiction.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as seeing a doctor or going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So get educated, do all your research, print things that you like, and find great resources that are there for you. There are support organizations that are there for the support person or the carer. And like even Alcoholics Anonymous, they have a group that is for friends and family members. So go and get yourself some support for people who are in the same situation as you.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I love that. Because something that you said earlier was it looks different on everyone. So even if you're questioning, could this be it, reaching out is, would you agree, finding some support and reaching out to talk through what you're experiencing?
I think
to help yourself?
Absolutely. I think that when you talk to the right people who are working in addiction and with alcoholics and drug addicts, they will very clearly identify for you what it is you're up against.
Yeah.
It's easy as a family or friend to rationalize that it might not be addiction. But I found so much guidance and help in speaking to doctors, psychologists, support groups who clearly could say to me, Jemma, your mum's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That is what this is.
Yeah.
And so they could give it that label because they know they're impartial. They are coming from a medical background and they take out all of that kind of love and compassion and emotion that you have when you have a relationship with the person. So definitely ask the right people the right questions and try to get to that clarity of what it is, that it is addiction, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Just for yourself to have clarity.
Such good advice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
The experiences, interviews, and comments shared on this page and podcast are those of the contributors and interviewees. These opinions and experiences are not owned by or the views of the Uncommon Exposé. Any views, opinions, or beliefs expressed herein are personal and belong solely to the contributors. The Uncommon Exposé does not endorse or reflect the view of those individual contributions and interviews. Our content is not intended to malign any individual, company, organisation, club, religion, ethnic group, anyone, or anything. The Uncommon Exposé will use our best endeavours to vet the content of interviews. However, we cannot guarantee and do not warrant that they are authentic, accurate, or complete, nor shall we accept liability for any views expressed in any contributions shared in any interview. To the extent permitted by law, the Uncommon Expose excludes liability for any damage or loss caused by use or reliance upon the information contained on this page or in any interview.